Welcome back. The internet is a relatively new outlet, a platform they like to call it, for the mainstream media to disseminate information. However, it also represents a huge challenge for traditional media, not only in terms of competition, but also scrutiny. For many online sites in the U.S., the mainstream media are the news. And like us here at the Listening Post, they cover the coverage. Here's Meenakshi Ravi with a who's who of that world and the kinds of stories and people they tend to focus on.
Do you think Reverend Wright loves America as much as you do?
It was a primetime example of media watchdogs showing their teeth and sounding the alarm when ABC News focused on trivial so-called character questions in the latest debate between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton.
ABC's debate was terrible. It was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen in my life in the political stage.
Within hours, sites like Media Matters, MediaChannel.org and Huffington Post were all calling the network out. Internet Davids taking on the network Goliaths.
The internet allows us this ability to act as a check on the morning newspaper by the late morning or the mid-afternoon.
Trying to look at the world through the window of media. What's in the media? What's not in the media? How is it spun? What's missing?
It allows us an opportunity to rally people to write to media outlets and try to improve the coverage or to draw attention, at least, to the media tendencies that we think are most harmful to the democratic process.
Do something.
It wasn't so long ago that big media, TV and print, had this space pretty much to themselves. Now there are numerous sites challenging their authority, documenting their fallibility, and reporting on the people who report the news.
Media Matters is an explicit watchdog organization that looks for bias in reporting or sexism or any sort of prejudice or bias that might come out in the TV reporting and print reporting, pretty much most mainstream media sources.
Crooks and Liars is an interesting site in that it just grabs the video from cable news shows and network news shows and tries to offer a real-time or close to real-time response to it. And again, the value here is that you can look at the transcript, watch the video, and read someone's analysis of this.
It's not all about reacting. Some of the news sites are breaking news. TalkingPointsMemo.com is a blog that broke one of the biggest political stories of last year: the Bush administration's firing of uncooperative lawyers from the U.S. Justice Department. TPM.com pushed the story until the mainstream media finally caught on.
That was a really good example of how, if there's something that isn't getting a lot of coverage in the mainstream media, Talking Points Memo or any other blog can kind of push it up and show that it's really undeniable and then hope that it gets more coverage in the mainstream press.
All of these sites offer people a way of looking at the media more critically and more skeptically that simply wasn't available 10 years ago. And I think that's the exciting part about it. Exciting to us, maybe not as exciting to the network newscasts.
The awful, despicable Media Matters outfit.
Some newscasts in particular. Fox News' Bill O'Reilly hosts the most watched show on 24-hour news. He's a conservative who's at war with Media Matters and some of his other left-wing critics, who routinely document his every journalistic faux pas.
Media Matters, Huffington Post, Daily Kos. I mean, these are fascists.
Media Matters can really get under their skin. And if Media Matters or any other watchdog organization goes after him, then Bill O'Reilly can have a show that night that says, look at these liberals who aren't letting me say my mind, or I can't believe that they would skew it this way.
They're going to brand people racist anyway. That's what Media Matters does.
O'Reilly's misjudgment, I think, in this case, is that he's elevated his critics. And I think a key part of any PR strategy would be don't give your critics any more publicity than they're already getting.
I get so frustrated by Media Matters and others. He's like, how dare you quote me? Well, all we're doing is putting what you said on the web and showing people that it isn't true.
However, just because the people behind watchdog sites are so critical of the mainstream media, particularly television news, that doesn't mean they're above appearing on those channels.
Tonight we invited bloggers from the left and from the right to slug it out.
They're popping up more and more often, amplifying their impact on American politics, and in many cases trying to get ratings-hungry broadcasters to focus on issues that matter in the presidential election. Things like policy.
Instead, the media is covering things like Barack Obama goes bowling and he gets a low score. The media is so desperate for profits, so desperate for ratings. With all this new competition around, they're fighting for their lives, that they're not taking on the complex stories that might be more important but don't have that kind of visceral impact.
Media is one of the issues of the world that is often not covered, often not really discussed and debated. That media companies tend to be very interested in analyzing other institutions, but they don't really do the same about themselves. They're very nervous about being accountable, being transparent, and being open to discussion and debate.
More Global Village Voices now on the web coverage of the mainstream media's news coverage.
The idea that these websites, these watchdog websites, are somehow pure as the driven snow, that they're objective, is of course nonsense. Of course they've got a point of view. Sometimes it's left-wing, sometimes it's right-wing, sometimes it's a special interest that they feel that they're backing. But that doesn't make their views or their critiques any less valuable.
The media needs to focus on their ability and their role of providing information and enable people to discuss among themselves, and also use the internet to discuss things. And they can talk about whatever they want, but the media should be careful and judge carefully information that they present.
Finally, we started out today with the story of the U.S. military and the news media there. Well, there's no better example of how cozy the relationship can be between reporters and the people they cover than the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C. It's an annual event. Members of the media and politicos get together, make speeches, and have such a good time, it might make you nervous. The speeches are all over YouTube, and as such are a natural internet video of the week for us. We'll see you next time at The Listening Post.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and Mrs. Laura Bush.
I have to say I'm kind of surprised we don't have more presidential candidates here tonight. Like any. Senator Clinton couldn't get into the building because of sniper fire, and Senator Obama's at church. And so I'm going to say my farewell to you by doing something I've always wanted to do. And I do it in the spirit of our shared love for this country.